I think everyone is painfully aware that the on-track action these days is severely underwhelming. Most, if not all of that, is due to the car itself. While the next-gen car might have been a boon when it first arrived in 2022, all the engineers and mechanics have figured out how to wring out as much performance as they can inside the very tight box that they're put into, with the car being largely fabricated by third-party suppliers instead of in-house. The competition looks close on the timesheets, with the spread from all the chartered entries being a few tenths of a second. The problem with that though is that everyone is more or less going the same speed. Add to it the fact that everyone's telemetry is available to be viewed by other teams, it forces all the drivers in the field to conform to the same driving style to get the most out of the car. Other than SVG on road courses, because what he does on those tracks is really out of this world, drivers have been molded to have to drive within the limits of the car. Denny Hamlin has talked about this multiple times on his podcast, and you see it in races too. Because the next-gen car is underpowered, keeping momentum up is the most important thing. One awkward crack of the throttle or a poor arc into the corner at the wrong time, and it'll take a few laps to get back into a rhythm. This is why the concept of aero blocking is the worst it's ever been. The key to winning a cup race these days is emerging from the final pit cycle in the lead. That's it. Track position has always been vital throughout history, but never quite like this. All of these things are piling up to make 2025 the worst NASCAR season in some time in terms of pure entertainment, which is quite ironic considering NASCAR brass has been chasing the entertainment factor for decades. You can stack as many gimmicks as you want to, but at the end of the day, if the actual racing product is bad, you're going to start losing viewers. Instead of fixing the clearly flawed platform of the actual car, the narrative on social media and TV has been about debating the merits of the playoff format. Both sides of the argument have really doubled down. Now, I want a full season points championship, but I understand the TV networks that pay billions of dollars to broadcast the sport might not want that. With a lot of back and forth between the two camps, a lot of the NASCAR media has been very dismissive of those who want a change in the format. The recent attacks on the likes of Mark Martin, who's been very vocal in his belief in the removal of a playoff format, it's very disappointing, especially when it's directed towards one of the biggest class acts in NASCAR history. Like any good politician, NASCAR and their media partners swing between acknowledging there's problems and then coming up with excuses why those problems can't actually be fixed. We can distract ourselves with arguments about playoffs and stage breaks and the like, but until the racing itself improves enough, nothing else matters. I find it hard to get excited for a Cup Series race these days. Not even in the bleakest COT or Gen 6 days did I feel that way. Any suggestion of raising the horsepower number in Cup cars is met with excuses like cost or trying to attract new manufacturers, even though an increase in power is desperately needed at short tracks and road courses to overcome the wider profile tire. Allowing your short tracks like Richmond, Martinsville, and especially Bristol to become outright snooze fest is one of the great tragedies of current day NASCAR, perhaps even a greater offense than any gimmick points format. I think that NASCAR is at a real breaking point because a lot of the solutions are staring them right in the face and are not totally unfixable, and yet all these concerns are always just swept away with a wave of the hand. Some might say that I am complaining, and I won't necessarily disagree. I might as well just be screaming into the void, because I understand NASCAR as an entity is beholden to the wishes of their media partners. Every paycheck down the line in the industry now comes from NBC, Fox, TNT, and Amazon. When those people who sign your enormous paychecks don't really understand auto racing as a concept, it's hard to convince them of something other than their vision for the sport. Fans can only take so much before they give up. Many people who have commented on my videos in the past already have, and yet they're clearly still interested in NASCAR content. Stock car racing is still an attractive thing for people to take interest in, but it's not being cared for the way it should be. They tried to make it into something it isn't. You can say that Twitter isn't real life, and it's just folks complaining like always, but NASCAR has really put themselves in a corner with their decision making. Is the way the sport looks now the result of internal leadership, or TV executives demanding things? The sad part is, a lot of the people who are complaining want to be fans. They don't want to not watch anymore. This is why it rankles me to no end when someone says, "Hey, if you don't like it, don't watch." That's fine when things are good, but when you've already lost like 75% of your peak audience, and the TV rating for the big championship race, Game 7 Super Entertainment Spectacular, is down for the 8th year running, it's not really the thing to say. Now, the downward trend can be reversed, it's not permanent, but I'm afraid it may become that way very soon. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.